Okay, I'm going to be talking about the Balenciaga campaign, which was an advertising campaign showing children in some distress holding toys in bondage gear, teddy bears in bondage gear. Why do you think a fashion house would have thought this was an interesting way of publicising their name? Well, because it was in their minds. And it is so much in their minds that it had no significance anymore. And I want to show you another situation where children who've undergone some sort of awful experience no longer concerns somebody. Let's just take a look at what this guy says. He said it in an interview with a couple of British comedians who have started a channel interviewing people. It's called Trigonometry, and they were interviewing Sam Harris. And this is what Sam Harris said when they asked him why he wasn't that bothered about the suppression of the news of the Hunter Biden laptop just before the 2020 election. Take it away, Sam.
I don't care what's in Hunter Biden's. I mean, Hunter Biden, at that point, Hunter Biden literally could have had the corpses of children in his basement. I would not have cared, right? It's like, there's nothing, even whatever scope of Joe Biden's corruption is, like if we could just go down that rabbit hole endlessly and understand that he's getting kickbacks from Hunter Biden's deals in Ukraine or wherever else, right? Or China. It is infinitesimal compared to the corruption we know Trump is involved.
Okay. Before I carry on, I'm going to tell you that I'm Granniopteryx. I'm on YouTube, Rumble, BitChute and Minds. Please remember, if I suddenly disappear off YouTube, I am on Rumble, BitChute and Minds as well. Right. You can help my channel on YouTube for as long as I have it by liking this video, by sharing it and by subscribing. And because YouTube is in particular is careless about keeping subscriptions and about notifications of uploads, first of all, subscribe to me on Twitter, Gab and Parler, where I am at Granniopteryx, and I let you know on those when I've uploaded something. And also check that you're still subscribed, even though you know you did it. I get so many messages from people saying that I just dropped off their list. So like this video, what's that? Like this video, share it, click that like button, share the video and subscribe again if necessary. All right, you can help me financially. Buy me a coffee, one of the links below. Now, let's get back to Sam Harris's comment, which is all in a parcel with this. Has the Balenciaga controversy gone too far? Well, here Vogue is saying, in many ways, the same as Sam Harris. That is, that images or ideas of children being abused in some way is not that important. And I linked that and the Sam Harris thing together with Labour councils in the north of England saying that the abuse of young people there, mostly teenage girls, is not important. So for Sam Harris, as he says, murdered babies in Hunter Biden's basement are not as important as how terrible Trump was. And the councils in places like Rotherham and Rochdale were saying that abused girls is not as bad as a Conservative council or insulting members of a certain ethnic group, perhaps. And they've all balanced the same thing. That is, children are not important. And this guy here, the name of the person is Raven Smith. Just a minute. I'm just going to see if I can find out who Raven Smith is. I'm going to cut this. Okay, no, I can't find out quickly. So I don't know whether Raven Smith is male or female, but I'm going to refer to Raven Smith as male. Probably because it'll irritate So somewhere down here in the article, Raven Smith says that child abuse is wrong. It's somewhere down at the bottom. I'll get to it sooner or later. So it's not like he is actually saying it isn't wrong, but what he is doing is taking a stab at people on the right who've been annoyed by this. He starts the article like this: another day, another satanic panic. This week, the internet lost its head at Balenciaga, accusing them of condoning, even glamorizing sexual violence against children. Well, Balenciaga did glamorize, or at least, I don't know how glamorous those pictures were. They're pretty seedy. But it made sexual violence an image for an expensive company, an expensive fashion company. So in many ways, you can say it was glamorizing. And Balenciaga says it wasn't their fault. They didn't do this campaign, and they blamed their production company, North Six, and North Six blamed the set designer or whatever. Yeah, that may be the case, but the fact is that it went through on a nod up the ladder of approvals, and that's because the idea that children being abused is not as important as, well, for Balenciaga, making money. For Sam Harris, electing the right president. There's always a higher idea, and children just aren't relevant in the service of that higher idea. But the idea that a cabal of is trying to manipulate mainstream media and normalise the of kids via a Balenciaga campaign feels a little far-fetched. And it is far-fetched. I don't believe that there's some central, Mr. Evil thinking, well, how am I going to children? No, it's... that's the word I didn't want to say, by the way. It's not that. It's that all of them have this in their minds. They don't need to be ordered to do this. It's there already. Now, Raven says, it was there to provoke a reaction. Oh, yes, they knew it would provoke a reaction, but that's not... he's missed the point. How do you can provoke a reaction from in all sorts of ways. Why think of this? Why is that the thing you thought, oh yeah, this is really going to catch people's attention first? Now, let's have a look. The next bit, this is the National Review. They, of course, have a different take on it. But the thing I'm quoting them for is that they say the New York Times. The other one was Vogue, as I said. And this one, they're telling me that the New York Times is apologising for the Balenciaga advertising campaign. And they say that the New York Times said, when high fashion and QAnon collide. So everyone who thinks that Balenciaga advert was wrong, they're all QAnon. That's what New York Times is saying. I am actually not going to read out aloud, but you can freeze the video and you can see what they say here. Right, and this is just this is QAnon stuff, is it? If you're against it, well, look, I'm not going to. there's not very much more I can say. I would advise you to do a bit of research on your own, but maybe we can think about how the left regard children. I think that's certainly worthy of serious consideration. And look, you know, I don't think the Pizzagate thing had any real basis in truth. But what I do think is that some people picked up on the idea that the left are willing to sacrifice children in some way to their ideals. And it's that sort of snowballed into a sort of satanic abuse story. So I don't think that Pizzagate was real, but I do think that some people were picking up on something deeply unpleasant in the left as it is developing now. Okay, well, till next time. Why not treat yourself or a favoured relative or friend to these magnificent examples of merch? The mugs and t-shirts come in the granniopteryx design or Granbo with a firearm or the more deadly knitting needles. Go to www.granniopteryx.com and whatever platform you're watching this on, please click like, subscribe and share.